Hey amazing hackers, I'm TORHAT from HM Cyber Academy. Today we'll be looking at dancing box. So I have connected VPN and I have also spawned this target machine, and I have created a new node over here and made a new directory over here. So everything is ready to save time. So let's get started. So first question. What does this three-letter acronym SMB stand for? SMB stands for Server Message Block. You can just Google it. So you can check its definition over here. SMB is a communication protocol. So basically, systems use this protocol to communicate to other servers that actually share files or share printers or serial ports and miscellaneous communications between nodes. The important point here is it is inside a network. Okay, so not outside the network. First of all, let's complete this. So server message block, Control C, Control V. All right, what port does SMB use to operate at? For this one, it is based on the version of SMB that is used. Okay, so if you just Google this, you will get 139 or 445. So if you use this to ask a question like which one is better, so it is 445. So this 445 port runs SMB using TCP port, but this one uses NetBIOS. Okay, so network basic input output system. So if you just Google this, you can just see that it is network basic input output system. This was there before internet. Okay, first of all, let's complete this. So this is what we use right now. So this is what it is asking as well. Okay, so SMB operates at 445 port. What is the service name for port 445 that came up in your Nmap scan? So we haven't run an Nmap scan, so let's do that. So this time we'll use the same Nmap scan using this. While it runs this Nmap scan, I'm gonna just tell you how SMB actually works. Okay, so this is us and we have a PC over here. Okay, so we use this to communicate to server. Okay, so this server, let's say it has SMB shares. Okay, so the way this SMB is designed is it has two components inside this. So I'll write a bigger one. So one is SMB shares itself and also authentication mode. Okay, so initially we want to connect to some IP address, and let's say the name is something like admin. Okay, so initially we want to connect something like this, but once it reaches this shares is gonna report to SMB, and this SMB checks in its database whether it is authenticated or not. Okay, so if it is not authenticated, then it will send a request to this authentication mode, and this authentication mode will send an authentication request. Okay, once it gets authentication request, we actually authenticate using our username or password or something like that, and then we give authentication response. Okay, once it verifies this password, so SMB will then allow the shares to be accessed. Okay, so this is the process. So since we are using 445, everything happens in TCP. Okay, but this client which is here, this one has to be inside the network. Okay, so if it is not inside the network, it will not allow you to connect this. Okay, so basically you need to use something like a VPN, which we already use. So we use VPN to connect to this network, and this VPN will make us look like we are inside the network where the shares are shared. Okay, let's say we are using port 139. So this will be used only in legacy systems, which means very old. You can still use this port to use SMB, but you have to use it on top of NetBIOS. Okay, and you also need to be inside the same network. Okay, so let's get back to Nmap scan, and here we have bunch of ports that are open. Okay, so in port 445, Microsoft-DS is the one that is running. okay, but in 139, as you can see, NetBIOS is running. Okay, so what is the question? The question was, what is the service name of the port 445 that came up on your nmap scan? Okay, so this is the one that came up in our nmap scan. So let's copy paste it. So let's move on to the next one. What is the flag or switch that we can use with SMB client utility to list the available shares on dancing? To actually list the available shares, you need to have SMB client in your PC. Okay, so if you don't have SMB client, you can either say apt install SMB client, or you can simply type SMB client. Okay, so the apt is smart enough to execute the whole command on your behalf. Okay, so it detected this SMB client and then it is asking, do you want to install it? And you can say yes. Okay, so this is much faster way to install. So once it finishes installing, let's go back to the question. So we have to list the available shares on dancing. Okay, so first of all, let's copy this IP address. Let's go back, and here we have to use SMB client and -L and then this IP address. So let's see what we have, and it is taking the username of the host machine and it is trying to log in. Okay, so let's give a blank password, which means nothing, and it actually listed bunch of shares. Okay, so basically the -L is the flag. Okay, so this is what you use to list the shares. So submit it. Let's move on to the next one. How many shares are there on dancing? So as you can see, 4 shares available. Okay, so you say 4, submit. What is the name of the share we are able to access in the end with a blank password? Okay, among these shares, we can access one of those shares without a password. Okay, so to connect to one of these shares, the format is something like SMB client / IP address / name of share. Okay, so this is the format you need to implement. But in terminal, if you use /, it is actually an escape character. Okay, so you cannot use / directly. So in order to use the /, you have to give another /, which means you are escaping an escape character. Okay, so the final thing should be something like SMB client // this is for the first /, which means you're escaping a / character, and // for the second / character, and now you give your IP address. Okay, so I think IP address is right here. For this / you have to give 2 more /. Okay, and then you have to give the name of the share. Okay, so let's give the first name, which is admin. Okay, so copy this and paste it over here. So let's copy the whole thing and paste it over here. Okay, so we use a blank password and we fail to connect. Okay, so no worries, let's use the next one. Let's copy this, paste it, blank password, still nothing. Okay, no problem. Ctrl+Shift+C. This one, copy, paste, blank password. Okay, so we were able to connect to one of these SMB shares. So let's see if we have access to this. Okay, so we were able to access to one of these shares. Okay, so let's see if we can access one more. Okay, which is the last one. So let's copy this, let's go back, paste it, Ctrl+C, Ctrl+V, blank password. Okay, so let's use dir. Okay, so as you can see, when we connected to IPC, we were able to execute some commands, but not all of the commands. Okay, so when I try to list whatever is there in this directory, I'm not able to list it. Okay, but here if I access this work shares, I'm able to list these things. Okay, so which means this is the share that we can access. Okay, so let's paste it. Okay, let's move to the next one. What is the command we can use within SMB shell to download the files we can find? Okay, so if you see, these are the list of commands we can execute, and among them, get command can be used to get some files from this SMB share. Okay, as you can see, all of them are directories. Okay, if you see capital D, that means directory. So let's go into one of those directories. Okay, let's say amy.j. So let's use dir, and here as you can see, one of them is actually an ASCII text file. Okay, which means A. Okay, so let's get this file, get work notes. Okay, so it has been copied to our local directory. Okay, so let's go back cd dot dot, which means it will go back, and there is one more directory over here. Okay, so let's say cd this, and if you use dir, you can see flag.txt. Okay, so let's get this one as well. So we have downloaded this one as well. Okay, so to exit out of this SMB, use exit command. Okay, so now we are back in our local directory. Okay, so if you type ls, you can see work notes and flag. So let's cat work notes. So it is some notes which they have taken, which is of no use. Let's cat flag, and we got this. Okay, all right, so what is the command to download? So it is get command. Okay, submit the root flag. We have already captured this flag, so paste it, submit, and we're done. Before we close this video, just scroll back to these shares. Okay, so as you can see, these shares are created by default. Okay, so admin shares are hidden network shares created by Windows NT family of operating systems that allow system administrators to have remote access to every disk volume on a network connected system. Okay, so these shares may not be permanently deleted, but these can be disabled. Okay, so this one is administrative share for C disk. Okay, in Windows you can see this C disk and D disk, right? So this C disk is the same one which you can see here. Okay, so this is where the operating system is hosted. So IPC share is for inter-process communication share. Okay, used for inter-process communication via named pipes, and it is not part of file system. Okay, so only this share is a custom share. All right, so with that, we'll close this video. I hope you get it, and I'll see you guys in the next one.